one of the things, it's really exciting to see people come back. It brings us so much joy. We are going to have our annual alumni panel of Acera alums, people who finished 8th grade at Acera. And how we try to focus this is that we really try to emphasize 11th and 12th graders, and we try to emphasize schools where 3 or more Acera kids have gone. We don't always get a representation of everyone, but it's really interesting, I think, for families to be able to hear about how awesome Acera kids do in high school, generally, and also specifically as people think about where might I go in high school, what are some of the differences of the different high school programs.
I'd say one thing that, maybe this goes back to what I said earlier, but being a student who was placed in some kind of advanced courses at my school when I first went there, it was a little bit of a difficult process for me, especially through like the math department at my school, and I really was able to kind of have that ability to like speak for myself and have that self-advocacy because of Acera like supporting me in that, which I kind of already said, but I feel like that is a very important aspect of what Acera teaches its students, and I still use that to this day.
I think on top of like self-advocacy, really understanding the why in what you're doing, for a lot of like kind of research-oriented things, or even like kind of anything that has like an end product, understanding like why you're doing each step of it, and understanding the value and like using that to come to like a final product.
So I was going to say self-advocacy because I think that's a really big one, but another thing that I sort of started developing as Sarah was an understanding maybe of like how to not be too ambitious, and that sounds like a negative thing, but like for imp projects I would always maybe do things a bit more ambitious than I could actually achieve, but you know, they let me do them and then mess it up and realize maybe I should have been a little bit more prepared to do this, and so that's really been useful at Minuteman for developing my senior project and not biting off way more than I can chew and still making something interesting.
I guess 2 things come to mind. The first is the more academic side of things. You know, Acera taught me math at a pretty high level. Acera taught me how to write an essay. Acera taught me how to research, how to write a lab report. And those have all been really useful skills in high school classes. Acera gives you the skills to get a solid footing in your classes. But from at a broader level, I think the ability to think for yourself and be creative in your projects. My school has a thing called Project Week, which is sort of synonymous with IMP, except that it's for a week and you're sort of working for that whole week on a project of your choice. And I've always been really confident in my projects because of my experience with AMP, being able to think for myself, understand what I'm interested in, and understand how to achieve what I want while not being too ambitious.
I initially picked it because of, generally they seem to be pretty rigorous, but specifically because of, the math program there. I think that another thing I've liked is just it's worked well for me. I think why I picked it is because a lot of the other students are quite engaged as well in their learning and interested. They are willing to put a lot of work in and engage with the classes quite a bit. It's it's always exciting and sort of funny when I walk into school and a friend hands me a piece of paper and says, okay, here's a proof. I want you to tell me what you think about it.
It's a very rigorous school. There's a lot of work, and you have to be prepared for that. But everyone who goes there knows there's going to be a lot of work, and it's as Mo said, it's a community that is focused on learning and really appreciates their engaged in classes. Talking about random philosophy or math or science in the lobby. It's a really close, tight-knit community.
I am very passionate about visual and studio arts, and that is the main reason why I picked the school that I go to, is because of the really strong visual arts program. It's one of the main focuses. You have to do 3 out of the 4 different kind of like arts branches that CSW has, which is theater, music, dance, and visual arts. And I have been very happy with that department, and I've kind of stuck by that first thing that really drew me to the school all 4 years that I've been there. One thing that is really kind of important to note is that the schedule is extremely fast-paced. So instead of having a standard semester or trimester schedule, we have 6-week-long courses called mods. And so for specifically math, language, and science courses, that can be a little bit difficult for someone who's not able to kind of keep up that pace. So you have to be relatively organized with kind of your time management, as well as just like generally staying on top of everything. It's a bit overwhelming. I was quite overwhelmed when I first came to CSW, and then I kind of figured out a system that worked really well for me, and I have been quite successful there as a student. And I'd say that as long as you're like excited about what you're doing there, then you'll be totally fine.
Yeah, so initially I chose Lexington because that was my local public high school. And I'd gotten a lot from Acera, but I wanted to actually experience like a more conventional environment and that like full context. And so freshman and sophomore year I was there over the pandemic as well. But after that point I kind of realized that in order to complete my junior and senior year there, I would have to almost scale. I was also doing a lot outside of school. I would almost have to scale back entirely on what I was doing there, and the school wasn't the most supportive of that. And so I started to kind of look for other options, and I found NewView as an option that would let me incorporate some of those kind of external things into the curriculum itself, while also retaining that like those core like math, science, English, history courses.
BUA it stands for Boston University Academy, meaning it's run and owned entirely by Boston University, which means that I haven't been able to experience this yet, but in junior and senior year, you can take BU classes, like a lot of BU classes. I think the seniors only have like at least one class actually at BUA, and the rest is totally college courses. And that's really awesome.
The reason I chose to go to Minuteman was because I thought I wanted to be a multimedia student, and that's one of the shops. It's multimedia. It's like film and that. And I thought I wanted to do that shop. So then I went to Minuteman and I did the exploratory. I realized I did not want to be a multimedia student, and then I also realized I wanted to be in advanced manufacturing. And that little happy accident has sort of set the course for the next 8 years of my life, because I'm very happy with my shop at Minuteman. I like my teachers a lot, I like what I'm learning, and I like where it's going to take me in college, because I'm planning to study engineering and sort of follow advanced manufacturing is like CNC machining and things adjacent to that, and so I plan to sort of follow that path through college, and I didn't even know I liked any of that until I went to Minuteman and did the exploratory, which they make everybody do. So I went because I thought I wanted to do one shop, and I stayed because I found another one that fit for me. And so I guess to answer the question of what type of student is Minuteman good for, it's a school that's really great for people who want to, who are like passionate about one of the shops they offer, because the experiences you get in those are not necessarily one of a kind, because vocational schools are not like a new idea or anything, but it is a very unique experience compared to a lot of other high schools if you end up in a shop that you like.
It goes up as you get older. Freshman year it's not too bad. The one thing I have noticed is sometimes there are spikes in workload because teachers will all end up assigning papers at the same time. So I've had a couple times where it's like, okay, I have like 10 things that I need to get done right now, and then if I need extra time, I can reach out to teachers, and most of them are fine with extensions. There's like 1 or 2 that are not. Everyone knows who they are. Yeah, but usually if teachers, especially in the younger grades, do generally check in, at least in 9th and 10th, if you're getting behind, and they'll ask if you need anything. And then 11th and 12th, it's less so because you're in the IB and you're expected to have some independence, and a lot of the assignments are bigger writing assignments in 11th and 12th. Over the last, between junior and senior year, I've been writing a 4,000 word paper, a 4,000 word research paper, and I've been meeting with an advisor every once in a while and checking on that. And it's almost done.
A lot of it's busy work. So if you can figure out, if you understand the content that's not during class that day well, it's really just like filling things out. You can like really quickly speed through it, especially if you're like, if you get like one thing done in an hour, take a break, come back to the next thing. So it's possible to do, and it's not too stressful. It's just a lot of content. And if you don't understand something, then it's really stressful. Because you're kind of, there's not really a support system after school. Teachers leave about 10 minutes after the school day ends, so it's hard to reach them. They usually aren't online after like 5 p.m. and if you're doing a sport or something, then that's when you're starting your work. But I think if you create like a friend group within your class and you have those like connections, then it's a lot easier to get things done too. It's oftentimes the same between non-honors classes and honors classes. Honors classes just expect you to have more context going into class. So if there's a reading, say it's a Dickens excerpt, they expect you to also have looked up the context of that excerpt and have a little bit more information. And that's really the main distinction.
And I think that, so the case is that Commonwealth does have a lot of homework. I'm not going to deny that. I think that, and that's I think one of the big differences from Commonwealth and Acera. In freshman year, they're very aware that there's a big transition for a lot of people. So all of freshman year on your transcript that goes off to colleges is just passing. Classes are graded as pass or fail. That you have the option to try challenging classes, to push yourself, to try different study techniques, and what matters is that you figure it out. The classes, so they do also provide a support system that you have an advisor, which is a member of the faculty, likely some of your teachers who have similar interests to you. They're not always, and you meet with your advisor for 40 minutes once a week, and so you end up getting to know them pretty well. I have a very good experience with my advisors. You have to choose your advisor to switch. It's really meant to help you, and their job is really to be somebody you can talk to, get familiar with, and they will help you with the workload, help make sure that you're managing it. I think that with the homework, like the vast majority of the homework I've gotten has been interesting, and I think it's contributed to my understanding of the homework. I think that I've myself in Commonwealth made the choice to take some very challenging classes that give a lot of homework. My math homework can definitely take 2 hours occasionally. One night, that I took upon myself, and who doesn't want to be doing 2 hours of math a night? So one night, so good times, and so I think I've gotten a lot better at time management because of this, because of these support systems, because I've had a lot of work. I think I've learned how to manage it decently well at this point.
While I do get a lot of homework, it's very specific, and you get a lot of support from your teachers. So pretty much every single night, you will be assigned homework, and it will be due the next day. And that's how a majority of the assignments work, because we have the same schedule every day except for Wednesdays. And so that allows for you to kind of know exactly what's going to happen each day. And then additionally, you have an advisor, which is a similar program to what I'm sure you've heard of for a lot of different high schools. And then there's also office hours every single day from when class ends until B block starts, which is kind of co-curricular. It can be athletics, it can be study halls, it can be lots of different things. And then they say that you get 45 minutes a night from each class, and you have 3 classes at a time, so that's not that much homework. However, as a freshman, often that is the case. Kind of the higher up you get in grades, the more teachers assign homework, so it can vary from 45 minutes to up to 2 hours, depending on the class and the teacher and how you manage your own time and what courses you're taking. So I'd say homework can range between less than an hour a night or like 4 hours, depending on what classes you're taking and how you manage your time.
Depending on the teachers you get, a lot of teachers will like push you if you understand the content and keep going. My math teacher is one of them. He terrifies me sometimes. He's great though. And then one thing that's different, it's in the middle of the city, and instead of out here, I can actually get myself to school. Like go like walk around the city after school. Today I hung out with friends at the BPL for an hour or two. And one thing that I miss is everyone talking in class. A lot of my classes do not talk. I think it's just because a lot of them are because we're all seniors and we're all tired and college apps are exhausting.
But you know, the first thing that came to mind as what you practice at Acera and that you need to do in high school and in college and in life is, you know, creating ideas. You know, of course, when you're writing an essay, you need to like pull ideas and evidence, and you have to formulate your thesis. And that's something you also have to do at Acera. You know, you kind of have to come up with an idea for your imp project, because that's what your imp project is until you come up with an idea. And I think that's a very good skill Acera teaches.
I'd say the one thing is similar is at Acera with the imp program, at least if it's relatively similar to how it was when I was here, it's very kind of passion-based, and you're able to sort of pick whatever project you want as long as you have an advisor that will support that project. And at CSW, there's this like kind of program. It's called, you're able to design your own class for an entire mod, which is a 6-week-long period. It's called an independent, and you get a teacher advisor, and then you design your own course, and you determine how you're going to grade yourself. And then you're kind of able to have an entire like 6-week-long period to be able to do whatever you want in any department through any department you want, as long as you have a teacher that supports that, and then you'll have the resources of the school to be able to pursue that passion. One thing that's different. Okay. I'd say one thing that's different is while CSW is still a relatively small school, it feels like absolutely massive in comparison to Acera. I went to Acera from kindergarten through 8th grade, so it was a very big change for me, but I was still really welcomed by the community, which was nice. And I'd say that that is a big difference for me that I'm somewhat grateful for, just because like being able to be in a larger community is really nice for me. And then one thing that we miss.
One thing that you miss.
There's so many things. I'd say the community being so genuine, and like the real desire to like pursue education and knowledge and learning. CSW is a school filled with like really intelligent students, and I'd say a lot of them have something that they're passionate about, but like beyond what they're passionate about, people kind of tend to not put in as much effort as they could. And I'd say at Acera, everyone really is just like doing their best and really just full of passion and excitement to learn, which is very admirable.
The thing that is the same, people have talked about this, connecting with your teachers, passion for learning. Also, we have Project Week, which is imp, but condensed into a week, but for the whole day. I'm really excited about my project this year. Last year, I interned at Acera. That was really fun. Got to do some woodworking. So that's a great thing. One thing that's different, having time after school. I don't know what I did with all my time. I feel like I should like know everything in the world with like, now that I have all this homework. I don't know. I guess it's just a different environment you have to get used to, from having some homework to having a lot of homework. And one thing I miss, weirdly, recess. Like Henry, you're in 11th grade. Like, why you don't deserve recess? But like, I think it's it was a really nice time to get outside, to interact with people of all different age groups, and to sort of be in a group, be in something non-structured, and sort of build your own structure, literally and metaphorically. I just really enjoy that, and I wish I had more of that.